Hello, language hackers. Benny Lewis coming to you today with another episode of the Language Hacking Podcast. This is another solo episode, so I would definitely appreciate if you guys have been enjoying this to go to languagehacking.com/review and let us know your thoughts. I always enjoy reading your feedback, and I always enjoy reading your feedback, and I promise our team does check out each one, and it really helps us to get the podcast out there to more people. So, today, the topic I wanted to cover was a very big question I get a lot. Should I learn two languages at the same time? Whenever someone imagines a polyglot, someone who speaks multiple languages, they imagine they must have learned multiple ones at the same time. I myself have quite a large number that I've dabbled in, and at the moment I've six or seven that I can say I'm very, very confident to use at the drop of a hat. So it just feels like the shortest way to get there is to do multiple at the same time. But generally, what I find with a lot of experienced polyglots is that they do them one at a time. There's a few reasons for this. The first is that you get your focus on the language, you're able to move it forward a lot better. That makes sense. Anything that you put more time and energy into, you're able to push it along with a lot more ease than if you spread yourself thin. But the other issue is a little bit of interference. And generally, I found that if I only learn a language to an upper beginner level, and then I try to learn another language that isn't too far from it, I mix them up so much in my head. But if I've put a lot of effort into a language to get it to what is the but if I put a lot of effort into a language and I get it to what's known as the upper intermediate stage, the B2 stage, where a lot of people will where a lot of people will agree that fluency truly begins, then it's almost like I've built a wall around that language in my mind that prevents it from getting interference from other languages. So the better you are at each language, the less likely it is that you're going to mix it up, and the less likely it is that you're going to forget it. So generally, if you have a goal where you really, really want to speak both Spanish and French, and you have a certain timeline, like maybe 2 years from now, you want to speak both fluently, whatever it might be, I would highly recommend you pick one of them, whichever one you're more passionate about, or that has bigger personal reasons for you, that'll help you get over the issues of just becoming a better language learner, that'll give you more momentum with the second language. Just pick one of them and stick with just that language for an initial chunk of time. It is so much better to learn Spanish for 1 year and then French for 1 year instead of learning both Spanish and French for 2 years. You get so much bang for your buck if you do it one at a time. And I know there are exceptions. I've come across some polyglots that are able to learn two languages at once, but generally, I find these are the exception to the rule. They're much more clever than I am. I personally do not have that ability to spread my focus among multiple languages without each one suffering a lot more. And ultimately, if you want to be a polyglot, if you want to be able to speak multiple languages, you need to learn the skill of being able to focus on one of them. And the process that I have to get to a higher number is very simply to mix and match. So for the longest time, as you guys know, I took a little bit of a break for a few years and I'm getting back into it again now. But for the longest time, for the history of my blog and my language learning story, I would learn a new language for 3 months, hence the name of my blog, Fluent in 3 Months. But then I'd actually spend the other 9 months out of the year maintaining all of my languages, including this new one. And that's how I built things up. When people imagined I'd learn a language intensively over 3 months, they would imagine me going from one language to the other and maybe picking up four languages in a year. No, 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 no. That's just not possible for me. The only way I have the energy to intensively learn something for 3 months is if I recuperate after that, or if I at least put my energy into my other languages in a different form. So I switch between intensively learning a new language and maintaining all my languages. And maintaining is different to the intensity of learning the new one. It's where I'm getting consistent practice. And that's actually what I'm doing right now. For the next year, I'll only be in maintenance mode with all the languages I already know. I want to make sure they're all at a very solid level because I accept that when the time comes for me to learn a new language, that the other languages are going to suffer a little bit because I'm taking a true break from them. But if I brought those levels up to that upper intermediate stage, and in the case of these languages that I am currently trying to maintain, even into the mastery stage, and keeping them nice and solid there, it's okay to take a little break. It's okay to be away from your language learning experience with a particular language for the span of a few months because you're not going to forget it. And you can use that time to then learn a new language. This has just been my experience. It's different for different polyglots, but generally, I highly recommend you, if you want to speak two or more languages, to still just focus on one of them right now. When you have that language down, then you can go to the next one and it becomes so much easier. You, you just cannot take on multiple at the same time. Delete that last sentence. So I hope this helped you. This questions come up a lot, and I hope you found it interesting. So I'll be continuing to take your questions as these solo episodes. Make sure to check out the links in the show notes to let us know if any questions you'd have that you'd like me to tackle. And until the next time, happy language learning.